Hey guys, let's get more news from Steelers, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Mitchell Trubisky can lead the Pittsburgh Steelers to the playoffs. When the Pittsburgh Steelers signed quarterback Mitchell Trubisky to a 2-year deal in March 2022, he was expected to slot in as the team's starter until they found a young QB to build around. Unfortunately for Trubisky, they seemingly found that guy in Kenny Pickett just a month later in the 2022 NFL Draft. Pickett has not exactly lit the league on fire since taking the starting role early in the 2022 campaign, but he's done enough to put up a 14-10 win-loss record so far in his young career. While he hasn't made many big-time plays, Pickett hasn't made many mistakes in 2023 either. He currently holds the longest active streak without throwing an interception, at 218 attempts. That epitomizes what Pittsburgh is asking for from their signal caller this year. They're not asked to win the game, but they need to be able to take care of the ball and avoid plays that will actively help lose them the game. Now, with Pickett expected to be out 2 to 4 weeks after undergoing surgery for the ankle injury he suffered in the team's ugly 24-10 Week 13 loss to the lowly Arizona Cardinals. Pickett has not been put on the injured reserve list, which would hold him out for at least 4 games, so there is hope that he can come back before the conclusion of the regular season, but until then, it's Mitchie's time to shine. The only question is, will he shine and help the 7-5 Steelers achieve the 9 or 10 wins they need to secure playoff football, or will he falter? There are a lot of similarities between Mitchell Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. Only 1 inch and 2 pounds separates their physical frames, and they both hail from ACC colleges, Trubisky from North Carolina, and Pickett from nearby Pittsburgh. However, there are also a lot of differences between this pair. For one, Trubisky, despite being the older of the two, is a much more athletic quarterback. His 40-yard dash and shuttle times were only marginally better than Pickett's, but it's his ability, and sometimes, preference, to throw on the run or while rolling out of the pocket that sets him apart from the second-year man. He's also a more effective runner, as he averaged 5.6 yards a rush as a 4-year starter with the Chicago Bears, while Pickett has managed just 3.0 yards every time he tucks it. That dual-threat ability adds a dimension to the Steelers' offense that they didn't really have with Pickett. Clearly, Trubisky is a lot closer to Pickett's level than many might believe. He might even be a little bit better on the whole. Over his last 29 starts, Trubisky has been putting up better numbers across the board. Trubisky is a more efficient passer, completing a higher percentage of his throws while also throwing fewer of what are deemed bad passes and pushing the ball deeper down the field on average. The success of this Steelers team will be decided by a much larger group of players than just number 10, however. For starters, the running game is starting to look like a classic Steelers ground attack, having topped 130 rushing yards in 5 straight games, their longest such streak since their Super Bowl run back in 2005. There are several reasons for this, not least of which is the consistent play of their offensive line, whose 63.1 PFF run block rating is the team's highest since 2018. Continuity on the offensive line has been excellent, with all 5 starters having played in at least 10 of the team's 12 games this year. The dual-threat thunder and lightning backfield combo of bruiser Najee Harris and the diminutive Jaylen Warren has also played a huge part. The undrafted Warren has been particularly efficient, leading the league in yards per attempt, 5.9, by a full half yard, which is a gulf. The 2 backs are top 2 in attempts per broken tackle in the NFL, 5.7 for Warren, 8.4 for Harris. Harris's 19 broken tackles rank second in the league, and Warren's 18 rank third. That rejuvenated running game is music to Trubisky's ears, because he's always been a guy that likes to throw out a play action, which becomes much more effective when your running game is rolling. According to PFF, in his last full year as starter for the Bears in 2019, Trubisky completed 66% of his passes for 8.1 yards per attempt on play-action passes while completing 62.5% for 5.6 yards per attempt when it wasn't a play-action set. And that's all before mentioning Pittsburgh's uber-talented, criminally underused weapons in the passing game. Deontay Johnson is arguably the best route runner in the league, and he combines that with game-breaking speed. George Pickens has the latter in spades as well, as evidenced by his 17.0 yards per catch, second in the league. The return of tight end Pat Freiermuth, who had 9 catches for 120 yards in his return to the lineup in Week 12, will also be huge, as he can serve as an excellent security blanket for Trubisky on the middle and underneath routes. The impact of Pittsburgh's opportunistic defense cannot be understated either. A big reason that the Steelers have been able to put up a 7-5 record despite regularly being outgained by their opponents is because of two things. Another injury at inside linebacker continues to test Steelers' depth heading into game versus Patriots. Mike Tomlin already has ruled out Kenny Pickett from playing Thursday night against New England, and he is preparing to press on without the player he calls the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback on defense. On Monday, Tomlin said inside linebacker Elandon Roberts is definitively questionable to play when the Steelers take the field at Acrisure Stadium for the second time in 5 days. Roberts suffered a groin injury in the first half of the Steelers' 24-10 loss against the Arizona Cardinals. After initially injuring his groin, he tried to return but left for good after the second snap. Without Roberts calling the defensive signals in the middle of the Steelers' defense, Tomlin said communication breakdowns contributed to the Cardinals converting 5 third downs on a 99-yard touchdown drive late in the half. The Steelers never recovered from the 10-3 deficit. "We had adjustment plan to cover at the half," Tomlin said Monday. "That sequence occurred prior to the half, and we were not as in sync from an adjustment standpoint as we would like. We were limited from a communication and schematic standpoint, and we felt that." Michael Walker, the other starting inside linebacker, had a team-high 10 tackles in his third game with the Steelers. He was signed after injuries began depleting the position, first to Cole Holcomb and then to Kwon Alexander, who each are out for the season. Second-year linebacker Mark Robinson had 7 tackles after Roberts was injured. Robinson didn't play a defensive snap the previous 2 games and was bypassed by Walker on the depth chart. But without Roberts to plug the gaps, the Cardinals gained 103 of their 150 rushing yards after halftime. In recent weeks, the Steelers added Blake Martinez to the 53-man roster and brought back Myles Jack to the practice squad. Martinez was a healthy scratch Sunday after joining the Steelers a week earlier. Jack could be elevated to the active roster for the Patriots game. Martinez and Jack each briefly retired before signing contracts with the Steelers. "When you look at the pool of people available to us and where we were, we value NFL experience even if that experience was not in a training camp or they had limited work in that area," Tomlin said. "We didn't want to wait for the next domino to fall before we acquired those guys. We did that a couple of weeks back hopeful that we would have more time, but you don't always get what you want. And so it is that when the Steelers face the Patriots, Robinson likely will be the only inside linebacker available who was with the team when the season began. Coach Tomlin always says that you give a capable man information, and he runs with it," outside linebacker Alex Highsmith said. "Whoever is in there, we are going to provide them with everything they need. Those guys are going to prepare well and come out and play. It's going to be important to know we're going to have capable guys step up and make plays." And you fan, what do you think of the Elandon Roberts situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.